Hey folks, this is Dave Wood. I'm talking to you from Costa Rica. And I'm doing this back by popular demand. So here's how this is going to work. I'm going to continue to do these videos. I don't know if they're going to be daily, every day, or kind of scattered throughout, just depending on what I'm doing. But I'm doing it by popular demand. Last video we had, I think, 500 comments to it. So here's my challenge is let's get this commented on more, shared more, remembering that this video can be used with your affiliate ID as an affiliate of Empower Network just by tagging !ID equals your username and then hitting the badass button. You can share it on Facebook. All leads, traffic, and sales will track to you. Now, I'm just coming off the best call that I've ever done in my life. And it's interesting how over a period of time I continue to get better. And so does Dave Sharp, so does Tracy Walker, so does Tony Rush, so does Vic Strozhaus, so does everyone in association with Empower Network, Chuck Marshall, Lawrence Tam, Toby and Layla. It's amazing how amazing everybody's getting. And I want to talk to you about how we're doing that. I want to talk to you about what I believe to be one of the most important things to ever listen to in your life. And I want to encourage you, as you're listening to the sound of my voice, to shut other windows in the background, make this video full screen, leave your thoughts in the comments when I'm done, and not only that, but to take this information, apply it, and by applying it, transform your life and transform your business. I'm going to be referring to some important trainings that you need to go through. I'm going to be referring to some important steps and why you need to take them. I'm going to do it in about 10 minutes. And so what's the subject of today? The subject of today is nothing less important than controlling and learning to utilize the words that you're speaking both consciously and out loud and also internally inside of your head. A lot of people want success really, really, really bad in their life and in their business. And what I find, and I'm finding this more consistently as I traverse through time and as I learn new things and become more successful every single day, is that people's language structures and how they talk about the world and how they talk about themselves tends to be in the same direction all the time. And with most people, and I'm going to tell you this and I want you to watch this, most people's language keeps them in a rut all the time. I remember a special experience that I had when I first got involved in network marketing. This is going back to 2002. I had to go to an event and I made a decision that I was going to go to all the events no matter what when I was in a hotel room late at night. I went to this event and there was 15,000 people, if you can imagine that now, in a room. There's a guy named Bill Britt on the stage and he's speaking and he starts talking about the power of the tongue, the power of the words that come out of your mouth, the power of your language and how it can influence and communicate to your unconscious mind. He said something important to me that day and I want to share it with you. He talked to me about how to transform your destiny. And this is the chunk of information that he shared with us that I'm now going to share with you. What he said was, this is how your life works. And I want you to listen, and I want you to pay attention that I'm going to do something special with you today. And I'm going to tell you about some things that you need to watch, learn, and apply after you watch this entire video. He said that the way that it works is like this. You've got your conscious mind and you've got your unconscious mind. He says a lot of people, they just try to change their actions, and for some reason their actions lead them unconsciously in a particular direction. They're trying to go one way, their unconscious mind is going the other way. They're trying to succeed and their unconscious mind wants them to not succeed, it seems, for some reason, or does it? He says their conscious mind wants to do one thing, their unconscious mind is leading their life in another direction. And he says a lot of people, they try to change their actions, and that's very similar to trying to change what a computer does without rewriting its software. See, what happens is your conscious mind can direct and control the energy of your entire life, but it's your unconscious mind now that's going to actually get things done. So he said, here's the simple formula for completely changing your life. He says, number one, your mind has input mechanisms. And he says they have input mechanisms through the 5 senses. You can take an input consciously. You can also take an input unconsciously. And what he said and what he taught us that day was the way that we take an input is the things that we listen to, the people we associate, the books that we read. And if we want to be successful, we need to change the input mechanism in our mind, because that's what's writing our software, that's running the computer, that's running and controlling the entire background of our life all the time. So he says, how do you do that? You do that by listening to audio daily, by reading books every day, and by going to all the events and making a decision now to decide to associate with successful people. Decide to watch these videos and to share these videos, so I keep making them. If the comments fall below a certain threshold, I'll just stop. I'm just telling you the truth. And he says, decide to do this and continue to do this, and decide to associate with who you need to associate to get the results that you want. What do most people watch, listen, and associate with? They watch TV. They listen to their negative relatives. They associate with people who are around the same income as them. I heard Tony Rush say something at a recent event. He says, it was amazing the first time I heard somebody say, Tony, the 5 people you associate with, you can add up their income, average it out, and I'm guessing you the 5 people that you're around the most are people that, if you average their income out, would be very similar within 10% to your income. He averaged out their incomes, and miraculously it was. If you want your income to skyrocket and you want your life to skyrocket, you've got to rewire yourself unconsciously. That is why listening to the Inner Circle every day is so important. That's why watching the videos and making sure you go through the trainings you buy now is so important. That's why making sure you watch the words that are coming out of your mouth is important, because here's the next step. Step 1, you got to change your input mechanisms, right? That's going to start to change the thoughts that you're thinking. And you could do that consciously and you could do that unconsciously, right? It's very important to do both. Over a period of time, your unconscious mechanisms will rewire by changing your internal and external associations, by changing the people you get around, by deciding to go to the Denver event, by deciding to be on that last night's Monday call. If you weren't there, you need to listen to that call. And if you were on the call, you can leave your thoughts in the comments. It will rewire your belief systems, your values unconsciously to be more like those of which that will get you to where you want to go in your life and in your destiny, right? He says, here's the critical thing that happens next, and most people jump forward to action. He says, but there's a step before action. What is it? It's the words that you speak, both internally, unconsciously to yourself, also externally, and here's the key, they always match. What do I mean by that? I can watch the way a person is talking and I can tell you about how much money they're making now, because I've learned to be extremely observant to how people talk to themselves. I actually had a guy the other day who had about a $1,500 day, and here was a comment that I saw him post. Now, I'm not picking on him, and he knows who he is. I saw him post a comment that went like this. He said, not a bad day, but soon I'm going to try to make this like every day. All right. Now, what kind of internal representations do words like that create? It associates the word bad with success, number 1, and number 2, he associated the word try with what's going to happen next. Try is a word that automatically, in most people who speak English, is hardwired into a presupposition that you're going to fail. If I say I'm going to try to succeed, there's a hardwired presupposition internally and unconsciously that says it's just not going to happen. A lot of people says I'm going to try it out. What are they saying unconsciously? They're saying I'm going to fail, right? Now, changing your language, changing your beliefs, changing the structures of how you talk is not going to happen in a day. That's a representation to a constant barrage of internal dialogue that's literally forcing his life in a certain direction. You need to change the words that you speak. Now, I'm going to actually read a couple of quotes, one from a secret book, and I'm going to see if anybody can guess the secret book that I'm reading from. Okay, I'm going to delete some words so you don't know. Let me read. The great Greek philosopher Aristotle described the relationship between words and mental experience in the following way. Spoken words are the symbols of mental experience, and written words are the symbols of spoken words. Just as all men have not the same writing, so all men have not the same speech sounds. But the mental experiences which these directly symbolize are the same for all, as also are those things of which our experiences are the images. Aristotle's claim that the words symbolize our mental experience echoes the notion that written and spoken words are surface structures, which are transformations of other mental and linguistic deep structures. Now, I'm going to pause for a second. What that means is what you say and the way that you talk automatically, unconsciously all the time is a reflection of the deep unconscious belief and value structures that exist in your mind, and sometimes those things need to be rewired in a certain way for you to succeed, and you do that by the people you listen to, the books that you read, and who you associate with, right? Listening to Inner Circle audios, deciding to attend events, deciding to watch these videos, to share your thoughts, to associate with those who know how to go where you want to go. I'm going to continue on. As a result, words can both reflect and shape mental experiences. This makes them a powerful tool for thought and other conscious or unconscious mental processes. By accessing the deep structure beyond the specific words used by an individual, we can identify and influence the deeper level mental operations reflected through that person's language patterns. Considered in this way, language is not just an epiphenomenon. I can't actually say this word, epiphenomenon. I need to read more. Or a set of vocabulary, or a set of arbitrary signs by which we communicate about our mental experiences. It is a key part of our mental experience. So Bill Britt, what he said was, number one, change your input. Number two, that'll start to change your mental processes of how you think, which will be reflected in a surface structure of the words that you speak. That then will determine the conscious and unconscious behaviors that you start to create automatically. And if you're going to create something, why not create something wonderful? What you speak is important. The words that you say are important, and I want you to start to pay attention now to the words that you speak. And I'm going to give you a formula for doing this, but before I do, I want to quote one other book right now. Before you get all crazy on me for bringing the Bible out here, I'm doing this because we have a lot of Christians in Empower Network. Now, I don't go to church, and I'm not particularly a religious person. A lot of you guys know that, and it's not because I anything but. I just think that everybody believes their own things, and I'm happy if you're a Christian, okay? But I want to quote from the Bible because philosophers and religious people through all time talked about what you say and it being important. Actually, Buddha did too. It talks about it in the Quran as well. All through the Bible, it talks about it. Book of Mormon talks about it. I grew up Mormon. I want to read this to you really quick, though, because I think it's really fascinating. And if you really want to look at this, it's James chapter 3 in the New Testament. But he says, "My brethren, be not many masters, knowing that we shall receive the greater condemnation. For in many things we offend. If any man offend not in word, the same is a perfect man, and also able to bridle the whole body." So if any man offend not in word, he's able to bridle the whole body. "Behold, we put bits in the horse's mouth, that they may obey us, and we turn about their whole body. Behold also the ships, which though they be so great, and are driven of fierce winds, yet are they turned about with a very small helm, whithersoever the governor listeth. Even so the tongue is a little member, and boasteth great things. Behold, how great a matter a little fire kindleth." Right? Now this continues on, and I'd encourage you actually, especially if you're a Christian person, because this is going to affect your beliefs more than anybody, but to read that, because it talks about a ship, right? A gigantic cruise ship is controlled by a tiny rudder. And that's a lot like your tongue and what you're speaking all the time. Some people are speaking failure over themselves all the time, and other people. They're speaking a lack of belief over themselves unconsciously, and they're not even aware that they're doing it, okay? And those words that you speak are going to change the deep structures that you have internally, which are your unconscious values and beliefs, and how they're showing up in the world. And I can tell a person 10 miles away who doesn't believe in themselves by what they're speaking. I can tell a person 15 miles away with binoculars, okay, who's making a minimum wage income because of how they speak to themselves, right? I can tell a person who's struggling why they're struggling by the words that they're speaking. Because if you look at Tony Rush, if you look at Tracy Walker, if you look at David Sharp and how they talk to themselves, and they're continuing to get better at this every single day, they're talking like this: "I'm continuing to have victory. Every day I get better and better at speaking and learning in my business. Every day I'm continuing to prosper more and more as I continue reading, learning, and associating. Every day I'm becoming a more powerful man. Every day you're becoming a more powerful woman," right? Every single day, they continue to become more powerful by reading, by learning, by associating with successful people who know how to do things that you don't know how to do yet. That's why you need to get to Denver. Now, I'm going to give you some assignments, and then I'm going to teach you something new. Assignments. There's a couple of trainings that I'm putting up this week to members only in Empower Network, and they're going to pop up. One of them is how to use video to become famous. You can actually see that now. If you don't have our video hosting product and you log in and you click on the video hosting, that is a training video that will both install a pattern and teach you how to dramatically affect your language structures and how to dramatically affect the way you communicate with yourself internally and how to become famous and rich at the same time through the power of video. I want you to watch that and follow the assignments. Second thing, I'm putting a training up on how to profit from events and how to profit from the associations that you have. That is going to be popped up probably on the event sales page. It is a training video that is unbelievably important to watch. It will break down the science of the difference of the people in Empowers whose incomes continue to fold and multiply and those that don't from the same effort. I explain why and how that works in that video. You have to be a member and join now in order to see it. The third thing I want you to listen to is that call that I just did like an hour ago. That is the best call that I've ever done, and I don't want to toot my own horn here. If you listen to that call, it will transform something inside your mind. It'll help you speak a little bit differently and think in a new way. It'll help you do things that you never know you could do, and you'll start to do them automatically, unconsciously, and your life will start to transform. The next thing is, see if you can guess the book that I was quoting after. The next thing is, if you like this video and want more, I want you to comment, and I'm going to give you a formula now, okay, to change your entire life and explain why it happens. So remember, you change your input, which changes your thinking, which is your deep structures, which then alters your surface structures, which is your words and how you talk to yourself internally, right? That then changes your actions and your behavior, both conscious and unconscious. That then changes your habits, and your habits control your destiny. Now, last thing, and I want to teach you how to do this now. And this is the biggie, and I want you to listen and pay attention and decide to learn something new. This is how you do this now, right? You don't want to learn and then speak and then do. You want to learn, speak, and do simultaneously, allowing yourself to grow. The way that you put this formula into play is read, listen, associate. That's what Bill said. I'm adding something to it while producing simultaneous content where you're then teaching what you're taking inside. You're watching this video and making a video about it. You're following the advice that you're about to learn when you watch that video that I teach you how to become famous through video through. You decide that you're going to blog every day, utilizing this information to change everything around you and alter the world. You decide that you are going to live the dream as you speak by flipping the camera on and just making a video right after you do this, by listening to that call I did last week, which will be in the inner circle. By deciding to listen to audio every day, you'll notice that your language and words will automatically start to change. It will be like you learn to talk. Linguists say something fascinating. They say that it takes around 700 hours to become fluent in a language. I know that it takes around 700 hours of practicing language structures for your language patterns to permanently and dramatically change. If you study, if you do, if you teach simultaneously, here's what I can promise you: over the course of the next year, you can become fluent in the language of prosperity, success, of abundance, of having what you want, of change, of altering people's belief systems around you, of starting to notice magical, mystical things all the time in your life going on simultaneously in one moment by a simple decision you're making now to learn, do, teach simultaneously, changing your input, changing your words, changing your thoughts, changing your deep structures, changing your surface structures, changing the course of your life and your destiny through the new words that you're deciding to speak now.